Live from London, it's the Car-Boyz. Yes, the UK's #1 car podcast with no pictures, broadcasting from the southwest area of London returns again. Yes, I understand it's a very specific category. But hey, like an inbred farmer, we are experts in our field. It's a field down by the river where we keep the cows. Welcome one and all to an hour or so of music and laughter to help you on your way and raising the lag rafters with a hey, hey, hey. All right, really not that entertaining. But, we're cheaper than the BBC. And to be honest, we're a whole lot more entertaining than them. This week, we've got a corker of a classic car from the land of pasta and switching sides during World War II. Yes, we travel to Italy and say, si grazie to a 1990s sports coupe that may not have taken the world by storm, but is certainly a sleeper in the realms of classic vehicles. That's coming up in the classic car selection. We also have a couple of outstanding roads, perfect for taking the mistress out for a joint on a Sunday afternoon in our Highways feature. And talking of people who love a jaunt on a Sunday afternoon, I say jaunt, I did say jaunt, fresh from a tour of the intimate areas of Alba, we say, okay, the Simon Sujuwan, or he shall now be known, Aldsporen Muck Sujuwan. Simon, have you worked out what your family tartan is yet?
Of course I have, Rich. I hail from a little-known clan called the Mauritians of Dumfries.
Oh, okay.
Our tartan is a black cross hatch with black tartan. Basically, it's just black on black.
Okay.
But it's perfect for messy eaters, though.
Oh, excellent.
Always good.
Excellent.
Anyway, aside from my Scottish forays, we will have the regular features on the show. There's the news that ain't fit to print in the news.
Okay.
We have the letters and the questions in the mailbag. This week it is literally overflowing like the rain. And we'll be asking the age-old question of who are those people who leave their rear fog lights on all the time, and how do we stop them? Hold on a minute. Breaking news. Apparently it's just old people, and we're getting rid of them by creating a dystopian future where euthanasia for the over 60s is mandatory, as sort of like Logan's Run kind of way. So all of that and more, stay tuned. I am Simon Sujuan, never meant to make your daughter cry. I apologise a trillion times. I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson. I am for real.
Simon Sujuan there, folks. The original member of Outcast, but more of an Andre 1.1cc than an Andre 3000. And I'm Richard Green with the hippie to the hippie, with a hip hop. You don't stop rocking to the bang bang boogie. Say jump to the boogie, the rhythm of the boogie of the beat. That song was even before my time, but you can still see that I'm down with the kids. I'm a very old school boy. And this is Car-Boyz.
Car-Boyz.
With a Z, which I got told today with a Z was very 1990s.
That's cool.
I thought I was still being cool, but apparently not. Well, I was being cool circa 1989, right, or even 1998. Right, time now on the show where I usually rev up my engine, put the pedal to the metal, release the handbrake, dump the clutch, and watch the rev counter shoot into the red as I speed off into the distance on a rant, which will no doubt leave me exhausted, spent, and right out of petrol. Well, this week's it's all different. I found my inner child. I have supped from the cup of humility. I am a Zen podcaster. Yes, today it's not a rant, but a eulogy, or even an eulogy. A eulogy to the British folk who drive the byways and the highways of our green and pleasant land. And I apologise to the rest of the world in advance, for there is not a land on this planet where people drive so smoothly and so well as they do here in Great Britain. Now, I live in London. I've been driving here for around 25 years. And touch wood, I have only been involved in 2 or 3 accidents. Not bad going for a densely populated city with some of the smallest streets on the planet. Of course, I would love to say that's all because of amazing abilities of the driver behind the wheel as to why I'm able to stay accident-free. But I'm afraid that would be a lie. No, the real reason is the people on the roads in the UK are, in my humble opinion, some of the safest and most courteous drivers in the world. Now, I used to live in Thailand, and the roads there are absolute chaos. And I do mean chaos. Cars, motorbikes, driving whatever side of the road they see fit. People walk out straight in front of your car, or in my case, motorbike and bicycle, they also love to drive very, very fast in cars that are totally unsuitable for speeds in excess of 10 miles an hour. I've been taken to the airport in Bangkok at around 100 miles an hour in a rusted out Toyota Saluna taxi that in no way would pass an MOT here or any other safety inspection this side of Mogadishu. The phrase cha-cha or slowly, slowly was one that I would recommend for all travellers to the land of smiles. Conversely, the tyres are also unable to take a slight corner or bend in the road at any speed. My 100-mile-an-hour taxi driver dropped down to less than 20 when there was a very slight bend in the four-lane highway on the way to the airport. For which reason, I can tell you not. My only thought is that the 3-minute driving test that constitutes the Thai driving license is less than adequate. So much so that a Thai driving license is about as useful as a chocolate teapot outside of the country. Now, on the flip side of coin, we have the Germans and the Swiss, who bring a whole new approach to the concept of anally retentive. Go to the land of the cuckoo clock and chocolate, and you'll find the laws are beyond strict. My friend used to work in Switzerland, in Geneva to be specific, and the emission laws are so strict he wasn't allowed to drive his souped-up Subaru WRX through the canton streets. Of course he did, he just drove very slowly as to not attract attention of the passing highway patrol. Also, the Swiss are incredibly strict about who can have a driving license. For example, if you fail your test 4 times, and only 4 times in Switzerland, you have to undergo a psychological evaluation to see if you're a fit person to be driving a car. Now, you fare no better in Germany. Yes, it's great, the autobahns have no speed limit. Well, I should say they have no speed limit for expensive cars, but they do have a speed limit if you're driving a 1987 Fiat Panda. Try driving that at 100 miles an hour, and the Polizei will certainly pull you over on the hard shoulder. My stepfather used to serve in the British Army in Germany, and he always said that the Germans are very good at driving on the roads, but not very forgiving. Make a mistake, pull out into the wrong lane, and you'll meet the ire of a German driver. They also have the habit of driving far too close together on the Autobahn, making an accident almost inevitable if one should suddenly brake, which obviously one shouldn't because one is German, you understand, Schweinhund? And then there's the Italians, as mad as a bag of frogs. They all think they're Mario Andretti. In Naples, the locals resisted the introduction of the seatbelt in the early 1980s, so much so that an Italian T-shirt manufacturer introduced a line of shirts with a large black stripe across it diagonally from shoulder to hip to replicate the look of a seatbelt. Then you've got the Belgians, again, mad, bad and crazy. They've only had the driving license in the country since 1977. So anyone over the age of around 60 has taken no test at all. Great. Combined senility with the inability to obey simple traffic laws. What a perfect competition. And a combination, I should say. And the less said about the French, the better. Apart from the fact that when I drove my BMW M3 down to the south of France, I didn't see a single car, new or old, without a dent or a scratch. Years ago in Abbeville in the French Alps, I watched a Citroen driver smash into 2 parked cars with his bumpers so he could park in his space that was far too small. Now, the worst thing about this was that there was actually a person sitting in one of the parked cars. As my girlfriend at the time said, yes, that's the French. They take the phrase car bumpers literally. They are part of the car to be used for bumping other cars out of the way. Don't get me wrong, the Brits are also bad. They can drive too fast, they park badly, they overtake badly, they have no lane discipline on the motorway. But unlike America, we actually have laws about undertaking cars at high speeds on the highway, which they don't seem to have. Driving on the freeway from JFK to Manhattan in my taxi, I was undertaken numerous times by other cars with no regard for the general state of the traffic flow. Now, Britain's not perfect. But in the world of the midget, the small man is king. Saying that, I'll probably have an accident on the British roads tomorrow. Let's just hope and pray it's in the wife's car and not mine.
Oh dear.
I just thought I'd do a eulogy to the British roads, and I've been doing quite a lot of driving around London recently, and suffice it to say that there are other countries have it worse than we do, and believe me, the grass is not greener elsewhere.
Absolutely. I do think the Italians are probably worse. Probably going to offend lots of Italians listening to this, but I think the Italians are bad.
I suppose it's in terms of you approach it from the point of view of somebody that's British that we would find it crazy. But I suppose if you were Italian, you wouldn't find that too much.
Obviously.
Although every single person in Italy does think, well, every man anyway, whether they're driving a Ferrari, a Maserati, or let's face it, 1987 Fiat Panda, they do think they're Mario Andretti. They really do.
It has to be a Panda Sizzly with the bull bars as well.
Well, that's fair enough. That's a nice little car. There's nothing wrong with it. But, you are not Mario Andretti. Would you like some news?
Yes, please.
Let's see if I can get it going. Here we go.
And first up this week in No Surprise There Then news, a rise in new car exports failed to stop the UK car production dropping 2.1% year on year in January, making it the fifth successive month of a decline for the industry. The latest figures from the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders reveal that 118,314 new cars were built in the UK last month, compared to 120,890 in the same period in 2019. Despite the drop in the overall output, the number of cars built for export increased by 4.1% to more than 97,000 and accounted for 82.7% of the UK's total output. The SMMT attributes this uptick to rising demand in key Asian and European markets because they're not making anything for the new models in the UK-based manufacturers. The rise in overseas demand was in contrast to the sharp drop in domestic production, which was down 24% to 20,400 units in light of continuing weak confidence, according to the organisation. This was the driving factor behind last month's being the worst January for UK production in 9 years. The SMMT chief executive Mike...
Sorry, Smith.
The chief executive, Mike Hawes, said exports are the bedrock for UK car manufacturing, so rise in January exports is welcome following recent decline in demand in overseas markets. These figures, however, still give great cause for concern, with another month of falling car production driven by the lack of confidence and corresponding weak demand in the UK. So, was it Jaguar that said that their exports had gone down as well?
Yes. Yeah, so I'm trying to work this out because it looks like we're not doing too bad. Exports seem to be up, but so exports increased by 4.1% to 97,000, and that accounts for 82.7% of the UK's total output. So in terms of manufacturing, who cares?
So that's it. It should be all right.
They look worried. I don't think they are. They should be worried. Meanwhile, in better news for the French, PSA Group achieved record profitability in 2019, despite its new car sales falling more than 10%. The group, which comprises Citroën, DS, Peugeot, Opel, Vauxhall, posted a record revenue of almost 75 billion for 2019, up 1% year on year, with a profit with profits of 3.2 billion, up from 2018. This came despite new vehicle sales falling 10% year on year, just to under 3.5 million. PSA said the rise in profit was due to cost saving from the further integration of Opel Vauxhall into the group and from efforts to reduce the complexity of the product lines, trimming the production spending. It also cited increased higher sales of higher margin models such as SUVs. The PSA Group is in the process of merging with Fiat Chrysler, put my false teeth back in, automobiles, FCA, creating the world's fourth largest car manufacturer. You obviously have the coronavirus. The merger is going on both sides. I'm wearing a hazmat suit and I'm about 25 miles away. The merger is ongoing, with both sides expecting to be finalised either this year or early in 2021. Peugeot continues to be the PSA's group's most successful brand, with almost 1.5 million sales. This was down 16.5% year on year. Citroën sales were down 5.4%. Vauxhall Opel sales fell 6.2%, while DS increased 16.4%, but not many people buy the DS brand. As other firms, the PSA Group has invested heavily in electrification lineup. And it says it's on course to avoid paying fines for not meeting Europeans' average fleet CO2 target that will come into force. Blah blah blah. Nobody cares about that. Basically, it's asset stripping here. So you've combined lots of companies And the reason your profits are up is because you're getting rid of you're going to be getting rid of lots of factories, and your share price has gone up, but you're not selling any more bloody cars. I love this. The French say, "Oh, we lose money, but we've got great profits." The British say, "Oh, our sales are down, but we're still making profits. Exports are up." So I think it's a glass half full from the English, from the French, as opposed to glass half empty from the British.
I think the interesting thing in that story is the amount of times that you said a decline. So there's a decline in several things. So
everything's declined.
Again, it does. It points to a slowdown in manufacturing and sales.
Well, not only because you and many other people have the coronavirus, also because and that car production has gone down, but also I think really, as we mentioned last week, cars are made better. Why are you buying a new car? So people that buy cars have worked out, because of lease cars, that buying a new car, buying any car, gives you depreciation. You get depreciation, and you're losing, I'm guessing, a couple of grand at least a couple of grand for the first, say, 3 to 4 years, and then year on year it's a grand after that, until finally it goes down to about £1,000. And as long as you keep the car going, the car will never really go below £1,000. But you are losing money hand over fist. Now, if your car isn't breaking down, it's not the latest. You still gets you to work.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it, and you keep buying those cars. We're moving on now to and Geneva gets hit by coronavirus. Yes, as I mentioned, I am presenting the show in a hazmat suit this week. My co-host may or may not have the coronavirus. If he does, he'll be taken outside and shot immediately. Yes, properly, and the body burned. This year's Geneva Motor Show has been cancelled due to the continued spread of COVID-19 coronavirus. The announcement was made by the event organisers after several confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Geneva and other parts of Switzerland. There's been a substantial outbreak of the disease, I suppose you could call it, a coronavirus, which originated in China. Those cases in northern Italy and cases announced in a number of other European countries, including now the UK. While organisers initially said at the motor show the biggest event in the automotive calendar would continue, recent moves by authorities in Geneva and Switzerland to try and limit the spread of COVID-19 led to them pulling the plug. The organisers cited force majeure, I love that phrase, announcing to the exhibitors that the event would not go ahead. They also ruled out the postponing of the event until a later date, noting its size meant this was unfeasible. This was followed by the Swiss government banning large gatherings that will apply until at least the 15th of March. So no large gatherings anyway. This year's Chinese Grand Prix, due to take place in April, has been postponed due to coronavirus, along with many other major events outside the automotive world, including a Six Nations or rugby match between Ireland and Italy. A number of Italian Series A football games due to take place are also being played behind closed doors. Moves to combat the spread of COVID-19 could have a major impact on the car industry. We're probably going to see this more like next year, beyond the cancellation of Geneva. Now, car sales in China, which have been worst hit by the virus, have slumped. There are major concerns about the supply of parts from the country, which remains a major manufacturing hub. For example, its latest financial results, Aston Martin noted that parts supply issues could potentially hurt the launch of the DBX SUV. Hyundai also chose to close one of its factories in South Korea after a worker tested positive for the virus. Yes, the car market is going to be affected by the coronavirus. I was going to say the biggest thing I think for the UK will be non-patent parts, won't it? It will be you know, and I suppose Honda, things like Honda parts or parts for your car, but that whole grey market of non-patent is huge, and I'm guessing they're all coming out of China, and that's going to be slowed down. I haven't noticed anything majorly, but I have been fanning around on eBay. Certain products outside the car industry have started to get more difficult. Not just masks, things like vitamin C.
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper. It's okay. I'm going to use my hand. It will encourage us all to go out and buy a bidet.
Yes.
I think it's the French bidet manufacturing sector that has created the coronavirus, I believe, so that
to
we will
increase
stop
sales.
Yeah, increasing sales of the bidet.
Should we do some more news?
Yes, let's do it.
And finally, in the time to get my crook lock out again news,
Not again.
according to a new report. Yeah. According to a report, 92% of cars recovered last year were taken without the keys, apparently. Figures show that since 2016, the number of keyless car thefts has risen by 66%. Thieves of keyless cars have made national news in recent years, with thieves using high-tech equipment to effectively hack car entry systems. Now, though the figures from the leading vehicle tracker companies show the number of keyless car thefts hit an all-time high in 2019, the news follows a long period of concern surrounding the vulnerabilities of keyless entry systems. The issue made headlines last year when the Association of British Insurers, the ABR, said problems with the tech. Yes, I know her well. Said problems with the technology were partly to blame for the rise in car thefts. Then, in August, What Car magazine said it had found some cars could be stolen in as little as 10 seconds by thieves exploiting weaknesses in their keyless entry systems. Now, Tracker says their so-called relay attacks are being used more frequently by criminals. Dates also revealed that the cars most likely to be stolen were. Now, do you know what was top?
No, go on, tell me.
The Range Rover Sports taking the dubious honour, yes, to be top of the pile. It was usurped last year's chart topper, the BMW X5, which slipped to second place in 2019. Other vehicles that proved popular with crooks included the Mercedes-Benz C-Class, don't know why, Land Rover Discovery, the BMW 3 Series, and in fact, every car in Tracker's top 10's most stolen and recovered vehicles was a product of either BMW, Mercedes, or Land Rover. So that tells you something. The firm says that these cars are often shipped out to foreign countries and used as minicabs, often in the Middle East or North Africa. They'll have their badges changed to gold as well.
Yes, my friend. A very cheap, very nice car I can get for you. I was going to say, is it yummy mummies that are leaving the keys in the car? It's nothing about keyless car theft. Look. Range Rover Sport, BMW X5, Land Rover Disco. Is it yummy mummies? Idiots leaving with baby brains, leaving the keys in the car. I'm just saying, there are also yummy daddies, I assume, that are also equally as stupid. Now, call me an absolute idiot, but I thought all this stopped with the invention of the immobilizer. Yes. I thought you didn't have if the immobilizer's on. I had a car 30 years ago with an immobilizer. And the problem was, in fact, somebody warned me, the immobilizer was in the well where we kept the spare wheel. They said if you get it shunted from behind, it can destroy the immobilizer, meaning your car is impossible to restart.
Wow.
So I don't understand I don't really understand keyless entry that much. I assume what somebody is doing is taking a digital recording of the signal that you are transmitting to your car via the key.
I couldn't possibly tell you how to do it.
No,
I've learned things.
Please don't. But Simon Suchi wants Middle East or North Africa car export sales is available on. Should we give the website? No, I'm joking.
And doing well.
Doing very well. And another thing, if you are a Land Rover owner, here's a key. You've got a hard top. Put the wheel on the top of the car with locking wheel nuts, not on the bonnet. So a lot of Landis have the the Defenders have the wheel on the bonnet. Don't put it there. Put it on the roof, because people don't steal it to order, because you then can't get the car into a shipping container.
Very clever.
Very clever. Now, I remember, this is many years ago, driving a World War II Jeep in northern France. Not in the war, I hasten to add. I'm not but we had a World War II Jeep. Now, there's no security on these things. I mean, you could literally start it with a spoon. And all we did is remove the rotor arm and went to the pub. And then we opened up the bonnet, put the rotor arm back in, and then we started it and went
still
home.
Works.
Yeah, and it still worked. So maybe older was better. I'm not sure. I'm surprised cars. There's the levels of security now. I think we mentioned earlier on the show that on one of the previous shows that the Teslas, you literally go near them and they start recording.
Yeah.
So why would this be the case? Oh, hang on! Breaking news! Breaking news!
Yeah.
Yeah, breaking news just in. Beleaguered British bespoke auto manufacturer Bristol Cars has officially been wound up. The court ordered the liquidation, and the process is now underway. Documents were sent to Companies House, reveal the High Court of Justice. They decided that the firm, which has been in existence since 1945, should be wound up, with assets being sold off to pay creditors. The documents state that nobody attended the session to represent or defend Bristol. Now, a High Court appeal by the now former owner, Corp Limited, was unsuccessful. As of the 28th of February, the Bristol Owners Club has reported. This means overarching of Bristol Automotive Group, which included both the sales and the servicing operations, they're going to be wound up. However, the Owners Club claims it is actively engaged with the liquidators in order to preserve the heritage and associated spares for the marque. Bristol began making cars after World War II, during which it provided the engines for Bomber and other aircraft. I have some people joining me, obviously very upset about the closing down of the Bristol car company. Yes, of course, Bristol, famous as an aircraft maker that made bespoke cars with an aeronautical bent after the Second World War. Now, they were based in Windlesham in Surrey, and they had recently refurbished their sales centre in Kensington, London. And I don't know if you've ever been past that, but that was a real landmark if you were driving around West London, to go past the Bristol car showroom. Now, it revealed its all-new model, the first all-new model in decades, with the Bullet Speedster in 2016. That was valued at £250,000. The news of the liquidation comes 9 years to the day since Bristol entered administration for the first time in the modern era. 22 jobs were lost at the firm's original factory in Filton, near Bristol, but a new company was formed to sell its assets. Then that was purchased by Corp. That is now gone. A very sad day for the British marque. That was almost the watermark, the benchmark, I should say, for what a quality British sports car should be. All I can say is it's a shame they went out with a whimper, not a bang. And that pretty much leaves us, well, I was going to say, what does it leave us in the field? And field is right, because you get trees in fields, and it's Morgan. It's made out of trees.
Made out of wood, yeah. I don't think there's anyone else really. There's probably small like kit builders, but that's it. There's nothing.
Yeah, you do have some very small kit car manufacturers that all do a string of cars. Marcos still going. So CVR have gone.
Yeah.
I mean, Aston Martin are owned foreign companies. Bentley are owned by VW. Obviously
struggling.
I'm struggling to think of anybody left. Lotus, you've got Lotus. Who owns Lotus now? I don't know. You've got Lotus in the UK, foreign owned, and you've got Morgan now foreign owned as well. So that's quite sad that Bristol have gone. And I was saying to you before we did the show, if you're a bloke and you saw, and this is a real British thing, you won't appreciate this on the other side of the pond or in Europe. If you saw somebody in a Bristol and you like cars, you firstly went, "That's a Bristol." And then if you were with your wife, she went, "Oh, what? Yeah, look at that car." So she goes, "Yeah, it's all right." Go, "No, it's a Bristol. You don't understand. It's a really important car. It looks really cool. And it's got a mad, probably either a Chrysler or a BMW engine in it. But it's not a kit car. It's a bespoke British car." The guy that owns that has got a lot of money. The guy that owns that is not a flash bugger. He does not want to be seen driving a Lamborghini Countach. And it's sort of, it's almost it's one of those things that you saw on a British highway, and nobody would not like a Bristol. I mean, and if you saw two Bristols side by side, I think the average British guy would say that he loves a pair of Bristols.
Oh, yes.
Thank you very much.
I think many people do, yeah.
I'm afraid we might be infringing our copyright with the Carry On team over that one. But I say, to be serious, I just think it's such a flipping shame that the marque's gone. I'm not surprised asking $250,000 for a car that probably isn't the fastest on the road, and it's not a Koenigsegg, and
but it is quite bespoke and individual, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's like, does that justify it? I suppose in some ways it does.
Yes. Right. Let's have a bit of classic car selection.
Nice.
Filterless cigarettes. All right.
It's almost like having Branford Marsalis in the room.
It is. All right, lads. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now it's time for... Hang on. Shut up! You can't get it. My band, they're playing up today. Time for the classic car selection. It's where we turn back the clock on a car from yesteryear, a hidden diamond in the rough, a slow burner that is yet to shine, a Cinderella of a car that has yet to go back to the ball with Prince Charming. Yes, we turn our attention. Did you like that? We turn our attention back to the 1990s, and like last week's Vauxhall VX220, we're sticking with a coupe. As we say, buongiorno to the Fiat Coupe. That's been more than 10 years. It had been more than 10 years with the Fiat Spire 124 since the Italian motoring giant Fiat had taken a foray into the world of sports coupes under its own brand name. Now, beating a design from Pininfarina, it was the boys at the factory that came up with the design for the car in 1992 that went on to become the motoring icon of the 90s and turned Fiat from a manufacturer of rusty small cars to someone who could take on the Germans and the Japanese at their own game and win. It was first offered in a 2-litre 16-valve and turbocharged forms. These were later replaced a couple of years later by a 20-valve 5-cylinder version. We think of tougher cars, but the Fiat has its charms, not at least those looks and that engine, which in 20-valve turbo form made 217 bhp and a not unrespectable 0 to 60 in 6.3 seconds. Nice. It's a strong unit, but to make sure you change that cam belt and the water pump, it's Italian after all, every 50,000 miles. When checking one over, big job. Make sure the rear coolant hose is secure. It can let go without warning, but the clamshell bonnet traps the steam, so you only realise it when it's too late. Ooh. The coupe is a nose-heavy thing that puts some strain on the front suspension, so make sure it's all is well there. Regarding the body, 16-valve models rust badly, so go for the 20-valve form if you can. Later cars are better, but even so, check the floor pan for rust. The coupe is a modern classic, but we'd be reluctant to lavish too much cash on one. We found a cherished 1998 reg, 20-valve turbo, 77 miles on the clock, and a good service history, including a recent cam belt change for... under £4,000.
Nice.
And then, following that, we found a one-owner example, 89,000 miles with a full service history for 2,500. The catch. The second one was written off in 2010 with bad wing damage. So, but many potential bargains have been ignored for being a Cat D. Since this one had a brand new MOT, no advisories, it might be worth a go if you don't want to get too much money back. And for £2,500 or around, what, $3,500, it's worth a punt. Today, it's the 20-valve turbo that hogs the classified. Price is starting around $2,000 or $1,000 for non-runners, and the super-duper ones up to £25,000. With that in mind, why not say "Si grazie ad Monte Belgo" to an icon of Italian motoring that can be yours for a bargain based on price if you choose carefully. The Fiat Coupe. I nearly had one of these a few years ago.
Beautiful cars. They got the nice little round lights on the back. They got. I often used to see them in yellow as well.
Yeah, yellow, a sort of very light Le Mans blue. I seem to remember. Of course, the classic red. A few examples in black. Nice looking car. If you're thinking of a second car, why not go for it? It sounds like it could be an absolute stormer.
And the 5-cylinder sounds absolutely incredible as well. Really good. Great pick, I think.
Yeah, thank you very much. More on that next week.
Fantastic. Yes, that Hank Marvin music must mean it's time for our feature where listeners email us in and give us their favourite roads in the Lost Highways and the reasons why they love them. It could be the quiet coastal road that leads down to the sea. Alternatively, it could be a straight 2-lane blacktop that leads to infinity. Invites you to gong the pedal to the metal.
Nice.
Whatever is your poison, let us know your perfect driving road here on Car-Boyz. So,
yes, thank you.
First
off, Daisy from Sydney says hello or good day. She's good day, Daisy. She's she said doing a drive. We haven't covered this one yet. She says, why haven't you covered it? The Great Ocean Road. from Melbourne to Adelaide is one to go for, she said. Around 500 miles. It's going to take you a few days where you'll take in some fantastic driving, great surfing or swimming, and plenty of authentic Aussie countryside. Victoria's dramatic southwest coastline covers an incredible range of scenery. You can see the world-famous waves at Bells Beach, or lays on the sands at Anglesey, probably preferable to Anglesey in North Wales. Visit the charming old fishing village of Port Fairy and get among the buzzing arts community in Lorne. Of course, you can't miss the 12 Apostles. These craggy limestone stacks rise majestically from the Southern Ocean. They're a must-see. She goes on to say, you can see beaches, waterfalls, forests, lighthouses, limestone formation, koalas, hopefully not on fire, and if you're lucky, whales, hopefully not on fire. You can hike, surf, ride helicopters, follow gourmet food. You can do loads of stuff. Thank you for that. Thanks, she works for the tourist board. Now, there are two types of drivers on the Great Ocean Road, she says. You want to soak up some rugged Aussie scenery and arrive at the other end alive. Then take it easy. Otherwise, people will think you're starring in Mad Max Fury Road. If you do some clown tailgating around the corners near 13th Beach, don't be a galah, she says. Pull into the slow car turnarounds, one every 5 minutes or so, and let them pass. It's too nice to drive to rush, but there's no harm in gunning the engine occasionally and pretending you're a road warrior. Be warned, though, speed cameras in Australia, I found this out when I was there, are hidden. They're not in the UK. I don't know whether you have speed cameras in America. I think you might just have the Highway Patrol with their speed guns. In Australia, speed cameras are hidden. You can go down, you can spend a few hours on the highway, and by the time you get back to your house, you can find you haven't got a license anymore. This Great Ocean Road is really cool. My dad did it a few years back and thoroughly enjoyed it. And you can carry on. So you can go Melbourne to Adelaide. I'm pretty sure you can carry on all the way to Perth, but that's probably going to take you a couple of weeks.
So beware there. The kangaroos are hiding the speed cameras on the sides of the roads.
And obviously, out for koalas on fire.
Or whales on fire.
So
moving on, LED 74 or LED 74 writes to us from Geneva and says, "You fools, pity the fool. Why haven't Car-Boyz covered the driving road from here in Switzerland? They have the best in the world." Okay. One of the most famous is the mountain passes of the European Alps, and the Great St. Bernard Pass lives up to its reputation with its majestic scenery and diverting views from an elevation of 2,469 meters. Take the E27 south towards Italy and get a good view from this iconic location and experience one of the most renowned attractions of the country. A tunnel through the mountains, which is good when you floor it, was built in 1964, allows travellers to make the journey unhindered during the winter, which is good news if you decide to visit during that time. If you choose to take the journey through the Great St. Bernard Pass, you can start your journey near Zurich and end in the Italian city of Milan, although I don't think you probably want to do that at this moment. Travelling the distance between, thanks LED 74, from Martigny, Switzerland to Astoria, Italy by the Great St. Bernard Pass takes an hour and a half. Following the heavy mist, the salt road becomes very slippery, so don't take an Italian car because it'll probably fall apart with the salt roads. Please drive carefully accordingly. In the unlikely event of it raining and mixing with the salt, you're advised to not to make use of the road due to its unique location, passing through the remote areas. It is important when driving in these conditions to be prepared. So, if you're going to do that road, beware of Bernie Winters and Schnorbits, I think.
Yes, lots of St. Bernards out there, apparently.
Really?
Yeah, well, that's where St. Bernards are from, aren't they? With the brandy.
I guess so. Yeah.
With the brandy barrel. I mean, I'm
round its neck.
Round its neck. So maybe you get to stop off, have a bit of brandy. I know. Is it the? I'm trying to think of the famous. Is it Stelvio Pass? Is the super duper famous one? Yeah. And I don't think we covered the Stelvio Pass, which always features in the great British movie, The Italian Job. Yeah. Where it starts off with the guy driving, I assume a Ferrari or a Maserati. I think with Matt Monroe singing. And then the car blows up. It's the start of the movie. That's a fantastic driving road. And now, in my best Tony Hart voice, it's time for the mailbag. Yeah, thanks for that, mate.
Nice. We'll give you all the details to contact us. If you want to email the Car-Boyz, you can do so. It's car-boys@outlook.com, and we'll endeavour to answer your questions.
Yes.
We're also on Facebook. It's car-or car-boys at Car-Boyz with 4 Zs. Twitter, car-boys at car_boys, and Instagram at car_boys with 3 Zs. So, back to the letters. This week, what have we got? Sam the Man from Manchester writes to the show. He's got a 1997 Peugeot 2-litre 16-valve 4-door. And he wants, for what it's worth, is it a future classic? He says it's in good condition. He's the third owner, 110,000 miles on the clock in the service history. I'm guessing this is what, a 407, 406, 406,
406. It's 406. Yes, that's right.
Oh,
yeah. It's 406. I think they did them up. I think 97, 98 was the last year. I've driven one of these, not legally. We won't go into those details. It's a good car. Yeah, I think it's front-wheel drive. It's a really nice car to drive.
I like them because they use them for touring cars in the British Touring Car Championship, and I think they've got a wheel in each corner as well. So the handling, I think, is pretty good.
I have I drove two of them, not at the same time, and they were very, very nice to drive. This is going to be, I think, an appreciating classic. There's not many out there. That being said, it's probably going to take another decade before it becomes a true classic car. At the moment, if this is in good condition, £2,000 to $3,000 or thereabouts. Right. If it was the sports saloon, that's the one everybody wants. Yeah. The problem is Peugeots. The era everybody wants is the 60s and 70s. That's what people want. They bring in the big cash. 80s, 90s, not so much. It's a Peugeot. Saying that, there's not many of them left.
But the exception probably the 205, which is obviously a small Peugeot.
Yeah. You're right. Sorry, I apologise. Yes, that one. But these saloon cars. So yeah, I mean, it's worth a few bob. If you're enjoying driving it, carry on driving it. That's sort of our advice.
If I'm not mistaken, also styled by Pininfarina as well.
Yes, you're right. I think the one I drove, of course, legally. Also have the Pininfarina badge on the side.
Yes.
You've got to be careful about Pininfarina because, it's Bertoni that designed the Vauxhall
Astra?
The Vauxhall Astra coupe with the
That's
soft
the one.
It looks like somebody's taken an angle grinder to the top of a Vauxhall Astra.
They probably did.
And put a tent on top. You went, that says Bertoni on the side. That was one they did. Quick, on a Friday afternoon. Quick, the pub's open. Quick, hey, Mario, you do this. Yes, but I'm special in the head, and I've only just joined the Bertoni, and I mostly clean the toilets and the bins. No, Mario, you do this. And so off Mario goes and makes an absolute hash of it. Yeah. That being said, it's quite a nice car. Hang on to it. As we say, Pininfarina design. Yeah. Charlie 711 has emailed from Brussels. He's thinking about driving down to the south of France this summer. He wants to know how much this will cost and whether he's better off catching a plane or jumping on the train. Well, if COVID-19 continues its progress across Europe, you won't be going anywhere but living in a horror of a dystopian future like Mad Max. If we had a quick work this one out, if you're going solo, you want to drive to Nice, it's going to be 1,500 miles there and back. Right. Now, that on a car that does an average of 30 mpg is going to cost you around €300 in petrol. That's excluding the French tolls, which add another €180.
Wow.
So, if you're solo, get a plane and then hire a little car in Nice when you get there. That in mind, if you've got kids and a wife, you'd be better off driving, as the plane tickets during school times are going to cost you an absolute fortune. So they're going to bump it up to well over 1,000. I'd make the most of it. Why don't you stop off on the way, go for a great wine region in France, Burgundy or Champagne. Fill up the boot with booze on the way there. Try not to drink it while you're driving. Go down to Nice, have some fun, drink all the booze, and on the way back, stop off again, fill the car up. So it's actually worth, but it's a long drive. It's 750 miles. I've driven south of Bordeaux from the UK, and that was as far as I'd want to drive, and that was without stopping. You need to stop off.
Okay. I suppose you need to stop off with a mountain drink. If you go stop off, you might as well drink along the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. Carl from Ybor City.
No,
I'm guessing
Ebor,
that's what.
Ebor, Ebor,
Ybor. Oh,
Ebor.
Ybor
Yeah.
City. Tampa, Florida, has 1986 Chrysler Fifth Avenue.
Ooh.
The car backfires. It's a bit like Uncle Buck. The car backfires out of the carb. Timing is set dead on. What's the issue? He says it happens mostly when I step on the accelerator, but does occur sometimes when stopped and in drive. It's a 318 motor. I would assume that's the size of it.
Yeah.
It could be sticky valves. He's heard of stuff from GM and calls top engine cleaner. But want to see if someone has got any other ideas before he goes sticking stuff in his engine. There are some things, isn't there? There's something called, I think it's sea foam you could put in.
Okay.
Which cleans it out. It's just like this foam thing and then it just spits it out the other end. So that might do it. I don't know. I think that's very common in America. So
Okay. I was
it's a possibility.
The three things to check: the electrics, the state of the carb. So make sure the electrics are working. The state of the carb, make sure everything is not cracked and in working order. And then I think this is the likelihood with this. It's the cleanliness of the engine. So it could be as simple as putting, as he says, some engine cleaner in the car.
Yeah.
But it could be a leak in float bowl. If the valves are sticking, again, that's the dirt.
Yeah.
Could also be an electrical problem. But he'll only get that if he's got like pinking or tapping when he starts it. I'd say the first thing to do is put the engine cleaner in it. This car is probably full of gunk. I've had a car from that era. They gunk up really easily. Failing that, get your mechanic to do a diagnostic, test the electrics. It's Florida, so hopefully we haven't got shorting out happening anywhere, and you won't have any rust on the car. I mean, from what I've read, which is limited, this is a British car show, not an American one.
Yeah.
But they were pretty solid, those engines in the Chryslers. It was the Lee Iacocca era where same engines went into 52 different cars. And the Chrysler Fifth Avenue is a cheaper version of something, of another brand. Yeah. But they were very solid cars. So, yeah, give it a clean. The other thing, it could be as simple as giving it a good old... Years ago, my friend worked as a mechanic at a Subaru garage, and people would come in. Old people in the UK used to buy Subarus. In the farming community, they'd always buy a nice,
particularly the Forester.
Yeah, the Forester, the Outback,
the Legacy,
the Legacy. No, yeah, the Legacy and the Impreza, but the estate Impreza.
Yeah,
right. They'd buy these. Those Boxster engines need to be thrashed, and they would drive them as they
round
were
the corner,
to
the
shops, and they would gunk up. So I said, I've got a problem with my car. My mate would love it. He'd say, "Oh, leave it with me for a couple of hours." Come on, and we'd take the car up to the highway, and he would smack it up to 100 for to and from, round the roundabout, all the way back, round and round, get the thing stinking hot, burn all the crap off it. And it would sort everything out. So it could be something like that. But we reckon the engine cleaner sounds like the best bet.
It's a cheap and cheerful solution. Give it a go.
It is, and we are, if besides anything, we are cheap and cheerful. Finally, we've got Jamie, 4477, who lives in Birmingham, England. Not Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
She says she loves the 2001 Ford Focus ST170, but it's looking a little rusty, she says, and wants a new one. She'd like a Ford, but she could be persuaded to go for another brand. Her budget is $4,500. Simon, you are our Ford man. What do you think she should go for?
I think she should go for the ST. That was after that because it's a slightly bigger car. It looks like they're the ones that you often saw in orange as well.
Oh, so this is Focus, you're saying?
Focus.
Did they do that diesel?
I think they did as well, yeah. And in practicality, you can have 5 doors on it as well, which is all pretty good.
The diesel one so the Focus, the STD?
Very funny. No, it wasn't. So the next version of the Focus is pretty good. You should be able to pick that up, especially if you go through like the clubs, the ST Owners Club, and people like that.
What about Fiesta?
As for other cars, Fiesta STs, I was going to say that they the ST usually of that era would have been the 2-litre 16-valve version on there, which around Birmingham it's right. It's about 100 something bhp in the engine. but it is a big, thirsty 2-litre engine, although albeit 16 valve and fairly modern. So it's pretty good, but usually the ones that I've always seen have been quite high miler ones as well.
So you'd go for the Focus rather than the Fiesta. She sounds like a hot hatch lady to me.
She does.
We had a quick look on the Tinterweb. 2008 Golf GTI. This is in your price range of around about 4,500. So 4,500 pounds. 2008 Golf GTI 227 bhp. We found one of those, low mileage. 2009 Honda Civic Type R GT 197 bhp. Both front wheel drive. The GT Civic and the Golf, you don't get too much problems with the front wheel drive and the steering, which you get that sort of wobble when you sort of move off. But they rectified it both in those cars. Staying with Japan, a 2-litre RX Subaru Impreza. We found a 2011 one. Under 50,000 on the clock. It's not as much bhp. It's about 157. We found that one for £4,000. You got plenty of choice. Plenty of choice. I'll be honest. If she's been with this car for quite a while, stick with it. Go and get the Focus and get it in the orange and surprise everybody. I think that sounds like a cool little car.
That is. So there you go. That's for Jamie 4477.
There you go. Yes, and you can get in touch with email the Car-Boyz at carboys@outlook.com. Remember, boys always with a Z. We're on Facebook, car-boys with a Z, at Car-Boyz, 4 Zs at the end. Twitter, we're car-boys, at car_boys, always with a Z. And what are we on Instagram?
Car_boys with 3 Zs, which I posted a picture this week of I was in Scotland, as we mentioned at the top of the show. There was an F-registered red Austin Maestro still surviving in the rain.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Was it a what's it? Was it the what was the hot version? Was it the GTR?
No, it wasn't the MG version. It wasn't an MG Maestro. It was just the standard Maestro.
I'm almost guaranteeing the guy that owns that has grey hair. He does remember World War II.
Yes.
He parks it in a heated garage. He drives around 100 miles every month, whether he needs to or not. That car has never been thrashed.
It was in good condition as well.
Really? Did it look like a respray, or was it the original paint?
I think it was the original paint. Funny enough, it was in red, which actually you'd have thought would have faded. But I guess there's no sunshine in Scotland. So
no, well, there you go. Yeah, I was going to say, how has that survived? How has that survived all the way in Scotland? I'm not sure.
No sunshine.
I'm being joined by an audience. That's nice. There we go.
That audience must mean it's time for the quiz.
It is. They're back again, the audience. Here they come. Here the crowd. Well,
fantastic.
There we go.
So, this week's quiz is on number plates. We sit in front of them most of the time.
Yes.
But the number plate can actually reveal quite a lot. This week, we're looking into the history of the number plates, and we test our contestant, Richard from South West London, on his knowledge of the number plates. So, Richard, is it good to be here?
It's lovely. I've come all the way from Rochdale, and I can't wait to take part. And I'm hoping to win a toaster and/or a Teasmade, and hopefully walk away with a 1987 FSO Polonaise and/or a speedboat or a caravan.
And a cuddly toy. All of that on offer and more.
Oh, good.
In this week's quiz. So, 10 questions.
Yes.
Some of them are A or B, some of them are true or false. So, question number 1. Which country was the first to introduce the number plate or the concept of a number plate? Was it A, the Netherlands, or B, Scotland? Right. Especially for our Scottish
listeners. I was going to say, for both our Scottish listeners, obviously you've been to Scotland recently. Yeah, yes. The Netherlands, the Dutch, no. I mean, they're a bit laid back in Amsterdam. They're quite alien retentive outside Amsterdam. I'm going to go for the Scottish.
It was actually the Dutch. It was, the Dutch came up with the idea of having a number plate on their vehicle. Incorrect. Question number 2. The new style number plates here in the UK, for those of you listening across the world, was introduced in 2001. If the plate starts with the letter R, which region was it registered? Was it A, Reigate, or B, Reading?
I'm going to go for Reading.
Bing is the right answer. It is indeed Reading. The second letter is usually the office that has done the registration of the car. That's what they mean. Question number 3. So correct. 1-1. Question number 3. Previously, the car was when the car was registered, it was denoted by the letter at the start of the number plate, such as A through to Z. Yes. What year was this introduced at the start? So the letter as the prefix, was it A, 1982, or B, 1984?
I'm going to say 1982.
Bing is the right answer. It was A, 1982.
And the only reason I know is because I had an A-Reg Fiat Panda, which I think was 83. Covered in rust. And like every single other A-Reg car, because they changed the registrations in 82, 83, it was very badly made.
Of course.
Because they rushed them all.
Different times.
Yes.
So correct answer. That was 1982. Okay, question number 4. It's a true or false question. You don't actually need to own a car to own a number plate. Is that true or is that false?
I would say it's true if the car is sawn off the road. So if the car is not registered on the road, that would be true.
It is true, but actual fact, you can buy a number plate, so a personalised number plate, but it doesn't have to be attached to any vehicle.
Right. Okay.
So absolutely right. You don't need to have a vehicle to have a number plate. So correct. Bing is the right answer. We now go back to the letters. Number 5. If you see a car with the letter M on the new style number plates, where was it registered? Was it A, Middlesbrough, or B, Manchester, Merseyside?
I'm going to go for Manchester, Merseyside.
Is the right answer. It is Manchester, Merseyside. Question number 6. What was the first number plate to be issued in the UK? Was it A, A1, or B, 1? Was it A, A1, A1, or 1?
I'm going to say A1.
Is the right answer. It was indeed A1. 1 actually is, though, the most expensive number plate in the world at £7.5 million.
That's UK registered, really?
No, it's. I think it's in Dubai. They have the number 1. So, question number 7. Doing really well. You've got all of them right so far, apart from the first one.
Yeah, cool.
In the old style prefix number plates, the letters I-O-U were not used along with which other letter? Was it A, X, or B, Z?
Oh, no, Z.
Is the right answer. It is Z. So you could have...
unless you are from Northern Ireland.
Ooh, oh yes, you're right.
I'm pretty sure the Z, because there's a lovely thing in the UK that if you are usually of South Asian descent and your name is Aziz, you go and buy yourself a Northern Irish plate, which is usually AZI, AZA, and you stick it on your Mercedes 190 to make it look younger than it actually is.
Absolutely. Incidentally, the only other letter that was used was Q, where they didn't decide if they couldn't find out what year the car was originally registered, so they would add a Q. So correct. Question number 8. What year was the first number plate required here in the UK? Was it A, 1904, or B, 1924?
Oh, 24, gotta be.
Is wrong. 1904 was the first time a car carried a number plate in this country. So incorrect. Question number 9. These days, number plates change twice a year on the 1st of March and 1st of September. When it was annually, what month did that number plate letter change? Was it A, August, or B, September?
September.
Oh, incorrect. Really? I'm sorry. It was the 1st of August. That's when the number plate letters used to change. And for the Bendy Bully and the Tease Made and the Cuffley Toy.
Excellent.
Question number 10. The most expensive number plate in the UK is 250. That's the letter O. And it's on a Ferrari 250 SWB, which is a short wheelbase. It is worth £518,000 and was bought by John Collins, the number plate. Who was the original owner of that Ferrari? Was it A, Pete Townsend, or B, Eric Clapton?
Ooh, Now, Pete Townsend, I don't know whether likes Ferraris, but I know Eric Clapton does, so I'm going to go for Eric Clapton.
It is the right answer.
Yes.
It was Eric Clapton. Incidentally, the car was worth 10 million. So
Good grief.
having a number plate of £518,000 was a mere bargain.
Yeah, it's like me buying an air freshener for my Honda.
Yeah, proportionally, yes. So let's yes, you've won the Bendy Body, you've won the Tease Made, you've won the Cuddly Toy, you've won it all.
I'm so happy. I've won the FSO
May you never look at a number plate in the same way again.
No, I don't. Now, the thing is, I did not know you were going to be answering those questions. I have a confession to make that my father used to collect number plates as a boy and write them down. So somewhere in my vast library that I'm sat at the moment, surrounded by leather-bound books, is an AA road map.
Wow.
1962, and in there in the back, and I used to read this as a kid, are all the names of the towns that are associated with plates. That hasn't really changed.
Yes.
Moved from the let me get it right, from the back from the front of the numbers to the back of the numbers.
Yes, so the old star, the last two letters was the area.
Yeah, so I sort of have a little help from my father, but yeah, that's fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's about it from the show this week. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully, we won't be ending into a dystopian nightmare courtesy of the coronavirus, and we will bring you more Car-Boyz news next week. Should we enter into a dystopian future, then obviously we won't be doing this show, and you'll probably see me driving around a Ford Falcon with my dog with a shotgun hidden carefully under the passenger seat as I travel from town to town, stealing food, tins of dog food, and the fuel I can gather. But hopefully we won't enter that realm. Have yourself a fantastic week, and we'll catch you next time on the show that knows all about cars, but very little about providing a broadcasting service with pictures. It's Car-Boyz. Say good night, Simon.
Good night, Simon.